Hey guys, it's Bear Clark here at Bear Loves Film, and today we're discussing the John Krasinski film A Quiet Place. Now this is a spoiler review, okay? This review contains spoilers. If you haven't seen the film, please don't watch any more of this video unless you really don't care. It is, I'll say right off the bat, a brilliant film. You should see it. You should see it without somebody spoiling it. And if you want a spoiler-free review, I've already done one of those, and I'll put a link to that down below. But let's get cracking. So, 82 or 86, I can't remember which one it is, days after a major event, we find ourselves in a world that's virtually devoid of human life anymore. It's the towns and cities and wilderness are infiltrated, shall we say, by extremely violent creatures who communicate only through sound. They are blind. They have an amazing auditory system, which means they can hear virtually a pin drop from miles away and will kill anything that makes a sound, and which makes for a very, very tense film, because if you think about it, if I was to say to you, right, okay, for the next hour, don't make a sound, you know, make yourself a drink, go to the toilet, scratch your nose, whatever you want to do, try and do that without making a sound. It's really, really difficult. So the family in here do make some very clever choices as how to cover up their sounds, which I really enjoyed. I liked some of the novelty of it and some of the inventiveness of it. But we also obviously have the odd horror trope and the odd thing, and people do things they shouldn't do, you know. Sometimes that was a little annoying, because you think to yourself, well, come on guys, you've survived these 82 odd days, or in fact more, because the film obviously starts in one time period and then jumps forward quite a long time after that. So you've had a long time to adapt. You shouldn't be making these sort of mistakes. I mean, one of the first mistakes, which is quite obvious, is the fact that when they're walking along a train track, now the adults are walking at the front with the kids trailing behind. Really and truly, in a survival situation, you would want an adult at the front, an adult at the back, the kids in between, so they don't wander off, and you can keep an eye on what they're doing. It's a small thing, but it's something that is noticeable. The fact that Emily Blunt's character got pregnant seems ridiculously stupid, but obviously accidents happen. But I do like the fact that as soon as you see her pregnant, you just know yourself, all the audience are thinking, how the hell are you going to keep a baby quiet? And the way they do that with the soundproof box, etc., is very inventive. But by and large, they're surviving, they're making do. Now, the strength of this film is in the way that it sets up certain situations, and you know that something could go wrong. I mean, to give you an example of this, because I must admit, guys, I jumped a lot in this film. The part where the two kids are in the grain silo and it's all quiet, and the camera frame is such that you can see the space behind these kids between them and the wall full of grain. And I thought in my head, honestly to God, I thought to my head, if a creature drops down behind them into the grain now, I'm going to shit myself. And what do? Bam! Oh crap, did make me jump. Even though I thought it's going to happen, it still made me jump. So the setups were very, very good. That scene with the nail on the stairs. Now, be honest, guys, you watch this, tell me when next time you walk down an old pair of stairs, do you give it a double check and make sure there's not a nail sticking out? Because that was gruesome. It's amazing how much power that had to really grind on the nerves of the audience. And the reason it ground on the nerves of the audience so well was because Emily Blunt, now, I'm a big fan of Emily Blunt. I do like a lot of films. She's a very, very talented actress. She's got an awful lot of range. She's got a very expressive face. She was phenomenal in this film. I mean, all the actors in this film were good, but she was phenomenal when she was giving birth, when she stepped on the nail, the pain on her face. You felt it. You felt every bit of that pain. And also when she was scared, you felt that fear. She was superb in this film. I cannot praise her higher than I do, because she is amazing in this film. Things that I particularly liked were the sound design. The sound design was excellent. I really, really thought it was clever the way that they showed you the difference between quiet and complete absence of sound, when they went from, you know, the children standing there being extremely quiet and it's just a bare hiss in the background, and then the frame changes and it shows you the deaf girl and it's completely silent. I thought that was a really clever touch and really showed you the sort of world that she's living in. So I thought that was extremely well done. The creature designs, I know a few people that have said with the creature designs it reminded them a little bit too much from the creature from Stranger Things, but I think it worked. I think it was very effective. The speed of their kills really made them scary. I mean, they didn't just jump up behind you and bite you and drag you slowly away. I mean, whoosh, you're gone. That worked. So the special effects I thought were good. I think it was a good payoff that you did see the creatures. I think if they didn't show the creatures at all, the film wouldn't work. And I think if they showed them too much from the beginning, it wouldn't have worked. Now, some of the criticisms that you could have, one of the things that struck me was that they go up on top of a silo and light a flame. The dad character lights the flame, and you can see other flames being lit on similar structures in the horizon. So there's obviously other survivors. What I didn't understand, and they didn't give us an idea to find out why these survivors didn't come together, why they didn't form a community where they couldn't almost virtually come together and make a fortress. A bit like, Walking Dead, form a community, set up guard rotations, set up systems, go on raiding parties to get supplies, that sort of thing. So that was never answered. But I think the film worked because it was just on a few central characters. You could really relate to them. Probably a little bit slow in the first half, if I'm honest. The build-up is slow, but it's setting up these different things ready for it all to kick off in the second half, and kick off it does. I think it's beautiful. I think the way that they used the sound to distract the creatures, particularly the fireworks when Emily Blunt's character was giving birth, I thought worked perfectly. The first death, the death of the youngest child, I wasn't expecting that. Obviously, we've seen in the trailers the kid switching on the toy and the dad's desperate dash to him. My assumption was that he would run to the child, grab the toy and throw the toy off into the distance, and the creature would chase after that. But no, bam, that kid's dead and gone. That was very impactful, and it made it clear to the audience straight away, doesn't matter whether you're a kid, doesn't matter how old you are, you could die. You could die just as much as anybody else could. And talking about death as well, I was very saddened by the death of the father. I could see what they were doing. I think it's questionable whether really he needed to die. Could he not have got something and thrown it off into the distance that made a noise that distracted the creature just long enough for them to escape? But maybe that's a little bit nitpicking. The ending was predictable. But I would say that it was a worthwhile payoff, and therefore I don't have any problems with it. There is always going to be the chance that when you give people a slightly open ending, that the audience are going to feel cheated. Just like if you set the film going and you don't tell people what caused this event. I have been told that the newspapers that you see littered around, there is a mention on there about a meteor that crashes into New Mexico, which could well be what released these creatures onto the earth. But obviously that's not discussed. But I like the fact that we came in and it was already, their world had gone to hell. I like that because it kept you inquiring. And with the ending, you could be negative and say, well, it's a setup for a sequel. But I think it worked well because basically what it said is, okay, we survived one creature. We were lucky. We know what we might be able to do. But then when we look at the screen and see, holy crap, there's dozens of them coming in. How can they possibly survive that? Will they survive? And then the credits roll. So, in summary, guys, I would say that this film is an excellently made, well-crafted film. One of the best films I've seen this year, easily. I think the cast did an amazing job. Emily Blunt particularly was absolutely outstanding. I think John Krasinski's directorial debut is going to hopefully leapfrog him into doing many more films because he's obviously got the talent to be a quality filmmaker. And this is definitely one that you should see in the cinema. Don't just put it off until it's streaming on DVD. But having said that, I will definitely get it on DVD as soon as it comes out. It's also one of those films as well which you kind of feel like you want to take people with you to see, so you know what their reaction is. For me, it gets a very well-deserved A. I loved the film, but what about you? What did you think? Leave some comments down below. It'd be great to hear from you, and I'll see you next time.